Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose. And so unfortunately, I've been a little under the weather over the last few days. Thank you all for your patience. You all continue to be absolutely amazing. Just thank you so much for your support. But I am good to go now. So we're back, and some really big and some very exciting things happened over the last few days, one of which I think is potentially game-changing for Xbox. But I have seen some different reactions to this announcement online, and that's something that I want to go over today. Of course, I'm talking about the official announcement that Call of Duty Black Ops 6 will launch directly into Game Pass day one later this year. Now, we will also talk about that long-rumored PlayStation event for the month of May because Sony finally chimed in themselves. And then we also got a welcome announcement to celebrate Dragon Quest Day, so do stay tuned for all of that. But yeah, let's just go and get right into this Call of Duty Xbox Game Pass announcement. I mean, this possibility has been talked about pretty much for 2 years. I'd say really since the beginning of the announcement that Microsoft was going to acquire Activision Blizzard. This was one of the big parts to that acquisition. So its reveal might not necessarily be a massive surprise for those that's been following this news. But it is still a great confirmation here, especially this year with just everything that's been happening with Xbox. You know, over the last 6 months, there has been some internal changes within Xbox, and we've even heard that there's been internal discussions over this specific topic. So there was concern that this might not happen for Xbox Game Pass because Call of Duty is just too big of a franchise to risk its guaranteed yearly money by going into Game Pass day one. And okay, to be fair here, if we want to talk about Microsoft's core business, there is a risk involved by doing something like this. But at the same time, we can also say that it's a calculated risk. At the end of the day, the main goal is to increase Game Pass subscribers by a meaningful amount, which could more than make up for its risk. And if there's any franchise that has the power to do something like that for them, well then yeah, it's Call of Duty. That's the reason they went out and acquired Activision Blizzard. You know, the power of this franchise, whether you like it or not, cannot be understated. It is one of the most iconic gaming franchises ever made, hands down. And there's a lot of people out there that simply plays Call of Duty and not much of anything else. I mean, it was actually revealed last week that about 50% of Call of Duty's fan base still plays on the PlayStation 4, and that's crazy to think about. So if anything else, you know, that kind of explains why they keep making Call of Duty for those last generation consoles, because a lot of people are still playing on them. I've seen a lot of people ask that question, and there you go. But if you think about it from Xbox's perspective, they actually have a real opportunity here in multiple different ways. One thing that this Game Pass inclusion could do for them is to convert those players that are still in the PlayStation 4 to Xbox and to Xbox Game Pass. While Xbox has officially yet to announce this, the expectation is to have every Call of Duty game available on Game Pass. I mean, you have to kind of remember here that last year, Xbox mysteriously fixed the servers for a lot of those old Call of Duty games, and people were going crazy over that at the time. You know, there was a sudden resurgence for a lot of those old Call of Duty games. And we're going to see that once again once they come over to Game Pass, which I suspect we will get an announcement for that sometime soon, maybe even at the Xbox Summer Showcase in just a few weeks. But my point here being is that Game Pass not only will get the newest Call of Duty games day one, which is, you know, massive in its own, but it will also have every Call of Duty game before that. So for any of these Call of Duty players that are still playing on a PlayStation 4, which apparently is a lot of people, if that's what they mostly play, then the Xbox Series and Xbox Game Pass will be an attractive option for them, maybe even the best option for them if they're looking into getting a new console. And another thing about all of this is that you have to remember that Call of Duty is a multiplayer game first, and that's very important to this topic for two different reasons. I've seen a lot of reactions to this inclusion from a business perspective, and, you know, there's certain people out there that's just spreading doom and gloom, but one thing that you have to remember here is microtransactions. If Game Pass increases Call of Duty's player base, by a significant amount, then yeah, there's a good chance that they'll make even more money off of those microtransactions. Then the other thing here is that Call of Duty players will more likely buy into the more expensive Game Pass Ultimate tier, which includes the formerly named Xbox Live Gold. That way, not only can they get every Call of Duty, but they can also play them online. So in terms of a business decision, if that's really what we're concerned about here, despite what some people might say, I can't help but think that this is a real opportunity for Xbox to grow in a meaningful way. Again, that's why they went out and acquired somebody like Activision, because they have that power to help them achieve what they want to achieve. There's a lot of potential with Call of Duty's inclusion to grow. Now, beyond the entire business perspective, though, the main reason I really wanted to talk about that is just because I've seen some other people, kind of try to spread doom and gloom. I'm not going to name any names here. I don't agree with them, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. But the most important thing here is from a fan's perspective. And let me tell you, Game Pass before was already viewed as, the best deal in gaming. And if it was already the best deal in gaming, this really just kind of pushed it into its own stratosphere. I mean, with this here, there really is just nothing comparable to Xbox Game Pass and what it has to offer on a yearly basis. They are legitimately getting one of the biggest yearly franchises day one. That is just crazy to think about. I mean, here's the thing, the fact that even after the acquisition was completed, that there were still questions on whether or not Call of Duty would come over to Game Pass, I think that just kind of tells you how big of a deal this truly is, because it's almost unbelievable. It really is a mind-blowing inclusion, and it's a huge, huge win for fans. It's a huge win for Xbox Game Pass subscribers, and it is a huge win for Call of Duty fans. Not only are you going to get a resurgence of more people into all of these different Call of Duty games, but you're possibly going to get all future Call of Duty games at a very affordable price by subscribing to Xbox Game Pass. That's pretty fantastic. Now, we'll kind of see how all this plays out in terms of its business, but you Game Pass subscribers out there, which, I suspect will increase this holiday, are truly spoiled. Okay, so let's go talk about PlayStation, though, because they just announced their May showcase, which actually is not a showcase after all. This instead is a PlayStation State of Play, which is perfectly fine, but State of Plays are typically viewed as smaller than a PlayStation showcase. So you can kind of take that as you will, but it does sound like there's going to be some really cool announcements here. In their official statement, they said, State of Play is back. Tune in live for updates on PlayStation 5 and PS VR2 titles, plus a look at PlayStation Studios games arriving later this year. The 30-plus minute show features 14 titles and begins May 30th at 3 p.m. Pacific Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So first off, big congrats to you PlayStation VR2 owners out there. They haven't completely forgotten about that device. We are expected to see some new games here, and hey, maybe they might even reveal the PC adapter that we've heard about. That could possibly happen. But I think the most exciting part about this statement is that they confirmed that we'll get a look at some games from PlayStation Studios that are set to launch later this year. Now, right now, we have zero confirmations for any PlayStation Studio games, so this really leans into some of those leaks that we've been hearing about. Now, don't go in expecting a big blockbuster hit from one of their main franchises. They've already confirmed that that's not going to happen this year, but it is widely believed that a new Astrobot and Concord will be at this State of Play. This was previously leaked by Bilbo Kuhn, which has a great track record. And, I definitely hope he's right here, especially with Astrobot. I'm a huge fan of Astrobot. I think Astro's Playroom is absolutely amazing, secretly one of the best PS5 games. And I truly will be ecstatic if a new Astrobot game gets confirmed tomorrow. Now, as for Concord, I'm not really sure what to expect from that game quite yet, but it does sound like that will get a reveal as well. Now, Bilbo Kuhn, interestingly, though, did leak out something else today that could maybe make an appearance tomorrow, and that's for Monster Hunter Wilds. We haven't really seen much on this game since its first reveal, but he did say that its second trailer is expected to be revealed within the next 10 days. Now, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that it'll be at the PlayStation State of Play, but there is a pretty good chance, if anything else. So if you are a Monster Hunter fan, you might want to kind of keep an eye on this event. Now, with this event happening tomorrow, though, there's not really much of a lead up to this event, so I don't want to make too many predictions here, but this really will kick off those summer showcases because the next 30 days should be a lot of fun for gamers. Now, one last thing that I want to talk about here, though, is Dragon Quest HD 2D. There was actually some concern a few weeks back that this game could be in trouble because Square Enix canceled a lot of games, and they weren't exactly forthright about which games that included, but you can now 100% rest assured because not only did we get a confirmation that it's still in development, but we actually got a brand new tease that revealed which platforms it's coming to. And that's the great news here. With Square Enix's newfound multi-platform vision, Dragon Quest HD 2D will be available on all platforms, including PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch as well. This was all announced in celebration of Dragon Quest Day, and you can see here the tweet reads, "The Legend of Erdrick draws near." Now, reading that, it kind of sounds like a more official reveal could be incoming. I think this could be a 2024 title, and, if that's true, there's a pretty good chance here that we could see it at one of these showcases over the next month. Either which way, I'm actually really excited to play this game myself. I'll pick it up for the Switch because I do think these games feel perfect to play on the Switch, but hopefully we will get its release date relatively soon. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. As always, do hit that subscribe button below, but until next time, peace out.